Alright everyone, another year has come and gone. And this year was kind of, some good things happened, but majority bad things for me. But overall, this year of film I thought was overall pretty positive, especially in horror. But unfortunately, to start things off for my wrap up for the year, we're going to be doing my top 5 disappointing films and my top 10 worst horror films for 2021. So without further ado, let's get this started. So starting off with disappointments, number 5 I have Candyman. This film was a disappointment for me. Technically, this film is gorgeous. Nia DaCosta did a great job in directing this film. There are some beautiful shots. This film sounds amazing. I like the music. The acting is great. It's just the direction that they went in. Story-wise, I didn't really like it. It was missing that special ingredient. Tony Todd. We only get 3 minutes of him. And the Candyman that they have for this film just wasn't menacing in my opinion. There were some pretty cool aspects. You can only see him in the mirror. But other than that, I was just missing a relationship between the Candyman and our main character, Anthony. And this film just didn't do it for me. I just didn't really enjoy it. Next we have The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. This film was super disappointing. I don't know what I was expecting, but I just didn't like this movie. The subject matter, it just felt kind of icky after. I do like some aspects as far as the villain of this film. I like that it's an actual person. That was a nice change of pace. But I don't know if it was just me. This didn't feel like a Conjuring film. Yeah, The Devil Made Me Do It was definitely disappointing and a missed opportunity. Next we have In the Earth. This film I was really looking forward to in the beginning of the year. I seriously thought this film was going to be one of my favorites, and lo and behold, it was not. I'm a big fan of Ben Wheatley. I mean, Kill List, that movie's a classic. But this film just fell flat. It was just super boring. It didn't have a flair at all. There were scenes that were just so incoherent. It was definitely a trip, but a bad trip. Yeah, I don't know what happened with this one. Very disappointing. Next we have Lamb. This film I was very looking forward to. The trailer was very intriguing. It was something that I definitely knew was going to be an experience. And when I went to go watch it, it was everything but. This film was a slice of life type of film. Not really what I was expecting, and it wasn't in a good way. Whenever we get to the climax of the film, I seriously thought it wasn't going to be the climax. And when it did end up being the climax, I was just left in shock. I was seriously like, all of that for this? Don't get me wrong, this film looks beautiful. There's some great scenic shots. But there's so much that can do. You know? You had to keep my attention, and although we did get one of the best sex scenes of the year, this film just wasn't it. And then lastly we have Resident Evil. This was a film that I was pretty excited for, especially with what the director was saying. He was a big fan of the Resident Evil series, and he kept saying he was going to do it justice. And unfortunately, he did not. Yes, this film has kind of the vibes of the video games. There are some set pieces that look straight out of the video game, but it's just the character Leon, the Lisa Trevor. The director said he was going to expand on that character, and he didn't. There was just a lot of promises that weren't kept. The film CGI just didn't look that great. It was just pretty disappointing. although it was a bit better than I was expecting, we still don't have a great Resident Evil film. So that's disappointing. Alright, so we have the disappointments of the year wrapped up. Now we are going to get into the worst horror films of 2021. Again, this is my list, okay? My list. Alright. At number 10, we have Army of the Dead. This was a film that I kind of had mixed emotions about when I initially heard about it. I really liked Dawn of the Dead, but I didn't really like Zack Snyder's comic book films. And that might be a hot take, but I just don't find them appealing. I find them super boring. And when I heard he was getting back to his horror roots, I was actually pretty excited. And then I saw the trailer, and that toned it down a bit. And when this film finally came out, no. It's just boring, bloated. The acting was off. The action sequences, it just felt so dumb. Nothing really makes sense. The ending doesn't make any sense. Like, seriously, how did that guy not turn? He doesn't turn until he gets on the plane? Like, what? And visually, this movie was unappealing. Like, it was very hard to watch at times. At number 9, we have The Devil Below. This was, I guess, a low-budget feature, but man, the acting was bad. The creature design was horrible. Like, these creatures were not scary at all. The characters were dumb. If you don't know, this film is kind of based on Centralia. This is a coal mine that apparently had an explosion or an incident occurred, and it's still burning till this day, you know, like Centralia. And these explorers decide to go explore this mine, this abandoned mine, and the townspeople are in on this thing, trying to keep people out of there, and it's this whole hodgepodge thing. There's one cool idea where they kind of align it with hell. They have like a river Styx kind of thing, but there's one decision in this film that was way dumber than all the others. This guy cuts a rope, sacrifices himself, when he could have cut the rope below him and killed the monsters. Like, what? Like, you didn't have to sacrifice yourself, man. You just had to cut the rope below you. What are you doing? Dumbest decision ever. Almost as dumb as my decision to watch it. Next, we have Stay Out of the Fucking Attic. Okay? This was a Shudder original. It's about a group of movers that pull an all-nighter at this old house, and they find out that the owner is a Nazi. And not only is he a Nazi, but he is a mad scientist. And he's still doing experiments till this day. Yeah, the acting was bad. There were some neat aspects to it, but we've seen this film before, and we've seen it done better. Like, People Under the Stairs, it comes nowhere near that. And another dumb decision. This guy decides to fillet himself instead of getting a laser tattoo removal. Like, I get it, it's a bad tattoo, but I think you could have held off cutting it off of your body. Yeah, this movie is kind of more of a hilariously bad type of film, for sure. Next, we have The Reckoning. I was very excited for Neil Marshall, okay? I love The Descent, Dog Soldiers. This story that he decides to venture off to is just super boring. We're watching this woman get tortured days on end, and it doesn't even look like she's taking any damage. It's just a bunch of nonsense, really. And the ending is another middle finger to the audience. It's like, okay, what was the point of all this? Seriously, I think this is one of Neil Marshall's worst, and I was really hoping that he was going to return to form, but no. At number 6, we have Wrong Turn. This film was definitely a wrong turn, alright, in the writing department. What they decided to do, they were trying to add commentary and a lesson to this film, and it just didn't work at all. It's very contradictory. Very. I don't know if that was intentional. It really doesn't seem like it wasn't from the interviews that I saw. But yeah, this film was just dumb as hell. Like, the characters are dumb, but you expect that in a film like this. But the writing was just dumb. And it was just boring. It was way too long. And they do this thing where they have two storylines going on at the same time, and it probably would have benefited more if it just went on like a regular film. At number 5, we have There's Someone Inside Your House. Apparently, there's a lot of people that like this movie. I, for one, didn't. I thought it was very dull. It was boring. I didn't like any of the characters. The killer was kind of eh. It was a pretty cool concept that the killer was wearing a mask that looked like its next victim, but the actual killer in the movie, it just didn't make any sense. The story aspects of the film were just unappealing. I was just checking in and out of this film, seriously, and for that reason, it just, well, one of the worst for the year. Number 4, we have The Woman in the Window. This was another incoherent miss. I usually like these types of films where they take its inspiration from The Rear Window, like Disturbia, but this film, it was just an incoherent miss. It was all over the place. Amy Adams was pretty good in the movie, but she just couldn't save it at all. And the way it just turns into a slasher at the end, it just didn't work. I mean, and Netflix is making a parody of a film that they released on their own streaming service. Like, what? I mean, that looks like a huge FU to everyone that worked on this film, I can imagine. Yeah, you guys, The Woman in the Window is not worth your time. At number 3, we have The Unholy. This film was terrible. I love Jeffrey D. Morgan, but man, his character was dumb as shit. He inadvertently unleashes this malevolent force in this film. Like, why are you gonna do that to your main character? The jump scares in this film are horrible. There are repeated shots in this movie. Like, why? I thought I was going crazy. Yeah, man, this film just felt super lazy. Now, second to last is a film that really pissed me off. We have The House on the Bayou. I recently made a review for this film. Definitely check that out. This movie is just bad. From the veal cutlets to the wolf, nothing makes sense in this movie. I don't know what the hell they were trying to do. There's terrible dialogue. You don't care for any of the characters. I mean, they're all horrible. Like, everyone in this film is horrible. And I don't just mean the acting. I'm talking about, like, the characters. Like, they're bad people. Everyone is unlikable. The only redeeming thing about this film is Jacob Laughlin. And that's about it. Everything else was just dog shit. Alright, you guys. We're on to number 1. This is a film that I absolutely hated. And it stuck in my mind throughout 2021. Throughout the year, I was thinking, this is probably going to be my worst. And it's my worst. We have Separation. I went into this film with low expectations, and it got even lower than that. This film makes no sense. The entities that they have in here are just there to pop, lock, and drop it. It's just bad. The twist in the movie hurt my head. I was like, are they really gonna go with this? And the final act is such an eyesore. It really felt like I was watching something from 2005 Sci-Fi Channel. It just looked horrible. This film is just everything that's wrong with horror. Alright, you guys, we made it through. Those were my disappointing and my worst horror films for 2021. I appreciate you if you stuck it through as well. And my next video is going to be on my top 15 favorites for the year. Alright, so gonna be all positive, right? Yes, let's do it. Alright, you guys, well, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and make sure to subscribe. This is Everything Horror, where we love to talk about everything horror. Take care, peeps.